ॐ श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। शुक्लांभरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। यस्वानुभावमखिलश्रुतिसारमेकम् अध्यात्मदीपम् अतितितीर्षतां तमोन्धं संसारिणां करुणयाः पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुमुपयामि गुरुं मुनीनां। योगीन्द्राय नमस्तस्मै शुकाय ब्रह्मरूपिणे संसारसर्पदष्टं यो विष्णुरातममुमुचते कालव्यालमुखग्रास त्रासनिर्नाशहेतवे श्रीमद्भागवतं शास्त्रं कलोकीरेण भाषितम् एतस्मादपरं किञ्चित् मनःशुद्ध्यै न विद्यते जन्मान्तरे भवेत् पुण्यं तदा भागवतं लभेत्। ज्ञानवैराग्यसम्पूर्णान् हरिभक्तिपरायणान् पूर्वाचार्यातहं वन्दे सम्प्रदायप्रवर्तकान्। भगवन्नाम साम्राज्य लक्ष्मी सर्वस्वविग्रहं श्रीमद्बोधेन्द्र योगीन्द्र देशिकेन्द्रम् उपास्महे। कलिकालोचितं धर्मं नाम संकीर्तनात्मकं निर्णेतुम् अवतीर्णं तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। हरे रामेति कृष्णेति नाम संकीर्तनं सदा लोकक्षेमाय कुर्वन्तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्तेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमतृवस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनं। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषिभिस्तत्क्षणात्। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमद्भागवताख्योऽयं प्रत्यक्षः कृष्ण एव हि स्वीकृतोऽसि मया नाथ मुक्त्यर्थं भवसागरे। मनोरथो मदीयोऽयं सफलः सर्वथा त्वया निर्विघ्नेनैव कर्तव्यो दासोऽहं तव केशव। श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः। गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्दा सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so 3.11 from 12. Okay, so I think we have to do from 12 to 41, so about 29, so 14 stanzas each. Let me see. Amuchichi, can you do the first half? And then let's see who else I had. I think I have Revati. Okay, Aarti, can you do the other half?
Sure.
So Amuchichi, you can do, Amuchichi, you're on mute. You can do stanzas like 12 to 26. She's still on mute. Maybe Aarti Niga first porella.
अयने चाहनी प्राहुः वत्सरो 12 स्मृतः संवत्सरशतं नॄणां परमायुर्निरूपितं गृहर्क्षताराचक्रस्थः परमाण्वादिना जगत् संवत्सरावसानेन पर्येत्य निमिषो विभुः संवत्सरः परिवत्सरः इडा वत्सर एव च अनुवत्सरो वत्सरश्च विदुरैवं प्रभाष्यते यस्पृज्य शक्तिमुरुदोच्छवसयन् स्वशक्त्या पुंसो भ्रमाय दिवि धावति भूतभेदः कालाख्यया गुणमयं क्रतुभिर्वितन्वन् तस्मै बलिं हरत वत्सर पञ्चकाय
And the
विदुर
first line, that word mattum, and the urudo chwasayan. Okay, the CH chwasayan.
திருப்பி சொல்லட்டுமா இல்ல
No, that's okay. You can
இல்ல
continue. Yeah.
ओके विदुर उवाच पितृदेवमनुष्याणाम् आयुः परमिदं स्मृतं परेषां गदिमाचक्ष्व ये स्युः कल्पाद् बहिर्विदः भगवान् वेदकालस्य गतिं भगवतो ननु विश्वं विचक्षते धीराः योगराधेन चक्षुषा मैत्रेय उवाच कृतं त्रेता द्वापरं च कलिश्चेति चतुर्युगं दिव्यैर्द्वादशभिर्वर्षैः सावधानं निरूपितं चत्वारि त्रीणि द्वे चैकं कृतादिषु यथा क्रमं सङ्ख्यातानि सहस्राणि द्विगुणानि शतानि च सन्ध्यांशयोरन्तरेण यः कालः शतसङ्ख्ययोः तमेवाहुर्युगं तज्ञाः यत्र धर्मो विधीयते धर्मश्चतुष्पान्मनुजान् कृते समनुवर्तते स एवान्येष्वधर्मेण व्येतिपादेन वर्धता त्रिलोक्यायुगसाहस्रम् बहिराब्रह्मणो दिनं तावत्येव निशातात यन्निमीलति विश्वशृक् निशावसान आरब्धो लोककल्पोऽनुवर्तते यावद्दिनं भगवतो मनून् भुञ्जंश्चतुर्दश स्वं स्वं कालं मनुर्भुङ्क्ते साधिकां ह्येकसप्ततिं मन्वन्तरेषु मनवः तद्वंश्या ऋषयः सुराः भवन्ति चैव युगपत् सुरेशाश्चानुये च तान् एष दैनन्दिनः सर्गो ब्राह्मस्त्रैलोक्यवर्तनः तिर्यं नृपपितृदेवानां सम्भवो यत्र कर्मभिः
The second line, sorry, the second line, first word, Tiryang Nrpitrudevanam.
तिर्यं नृपपितृदेवानां
Nr is one, Pitra is one. So you can kind of separate those two words if you want. So Tiryang Nrpitrudevanam.
तिर्यं नृपितृदेवानां सम्भवो यत्र कर्मभिः मन्वन्तरेषु भगवान् बिभ्रत्सत्वं स्वमूर्तिभिः मन्वादिभिरितं विश्वम् अवत्युदितपौरुषः
Okay,
तमो
stop there, Ravi. Amuchichi, are you back? I think we probably are having unmuting issues.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Mine went away completely for a while.
No worries. You're back now. Yeah. So you can want to do from 27?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sri Krishnaya Parabhrahmane. तमो मात्रामुपादाय प्रतिसंयुद्धविक्रमः कलेनानुगताशेषः आस्ते तूष्णीं दिनत्यये
कालेनानुगताशेषः
कालेनानुगताशेषः आस्ते तूष्णीं दिनत्यये तमेवान्वपि लोका भूरादयस्त्रयः निशायामनुवृत्तायां निर्मुक्तशशिभास्करं त्रिलोक्यं दह्यमानायां शक्त्या सङ्घर्षणाग्निना याद्युष्मणा महर्लोकात् जनं भृग्वादयोर्दिताः तावत् त्रिभुवनं सद्यः कल्पान्तैदिदसिन्धवः प्लावयन्युत्कटाटोप चण्डवातेरितोर्मयः अन्धः सत्तस्मिन् सलिले आस्ते नन्दासनो हरिः योगनिद्रानिमीलाक्षः स्तूयमानो जनालयैः एवं विधैरहोरात्रैः कालगत्योपलक्षितैः अभक्षितमिवास्यापि परमायुर्वयः शतं यथर्थमायुषस्तस्य परार्धमभिधीयते पूर्वपरार्धोपक्रान्तो ह्यपरोद्य प्रवर्तते पूर्वस्यादौ परार्धस्य भ्रामो नाम महानुभूत कल्पो यत्राभवद्ब्रह्मा शब्दब्रह्मेति यं विदुः तस्यैव चान्दे कल्पोऽभूत् यं पात्ममपि चक्षते यद्धरेर्नापि सरसः आसील्लोकसरोरुहम् अयं तु कथितः कल्पो द्वितीयस्यापि भारत वाराह इति विख्यातः यत्रासीत् सुकरो हरिः कालोऽयं द्विपरार्धाख्यो निमेष उपचर्यते अव्याकृतस्यानन्दस्य अनादिर्जगदात्मनः कालोऽयं परमाण्वादिः द्विपरार्थान्त ईश्वरः नैवेशितुं प्रभुर्भूम्नः ईश्वरो धाममानिनां विकारैः सहितो युक्तैः विशेषाधिभिरावृतः आण्डकोशो बहिरयं 50 कोटिविस्तृतः दशोत्तरादिगैर्यत्र प्रविष्टः परमाणुवत् लक्ष्यतेऽन्तर्गताश्चान्ये कोटिशो ह्यण्डराशय
Sorry, Muchachi, we lost you.
परमहात्मनः इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे 11ोऽध्यायः.
All right, so let's start with 3.12 today. So I think from 3.12, things will become a little bit more understandable because, like all the various personalities will start coming and we'll go a little bit from more theoretical stuff to a little bit something we can comprehend a little bit. But it's also a lot of content in this. So I'm going to probably separate the meaning out into 2-3 categories as we kind of go through it. So this is Dashakam 10 of Narayaniyam is what this entire this entire chapter is. So here, so we saw in the previous chapter, right, about the timelines which were important, right? So that we saw from the smallest of the timeline of the Paramanu to the life of Brahma and everything in between in terms of time. So that when somebody says a Manvantara or a Manu, you kind of know the time span of it, right? So before Brahma then actually starts creating other beings, right? And I use the word beings because not everybody is going to be humans, right? So any kinds of beings. So he first has to kind of set the framework of how these beings or living entities are going to live. Because if a living entity, which has a soul, is already born with the realization that I am no different than the Paramatma, then there's nothing that living being is going to do, right? You have all the knowledge you want, right? And you're going to be like, I'm not going to do anything, right? I'm just going to be constantly meditating. I'm just going to be thinking about the Lord. So that cannot happen. So the beings are there. They need to have a framework in which they have to realize that they are different, right? So in the first one, so what he does in the stanza 2 is he's actually creating 5 kinds of designs which we all are surrounded by, which we all experience. The first is ignorance. So the ignorance of not knowing our own identity, right? So we don't know who we are truly. So we are ignorant about understanding our identity. So that is referring to the tamas, which is there, which is ignorance. The second is a moham, which is an illusion. So because we don't know, we are ignorant about who we truly are, we have an illusion that we are our body, right? So we are identifying ourselves with our body, which is an illusion. We are thinking this is me, right? And everything this body does is me, right? So we are having that illusion, which is the second design. The third design is the Mahamoham, which is if I keep thinking that I am this body, then everything related to this body, I start liking, right? I start liking things which are good for my body. I start liking people who are kind to me. So we start getting this sense of possessiveness about everything. Like we discussed earlier, we love ourselves the most. So everything around us which are related to us, we love, right? Because we have that Mahamoham, which is we have the sense of possessiveness of thinking that everything that belongs to me, right? We don't realize that nothing belongs to us, right? So we have that possessiveness which is coming, which is the third one, which is Mahamoham. Then the fourth one, if you think all of these are your possessions, if somebody comes and disrupts your possession, which is take your possession away or challenge something which is yours, what do? We get frustrated because you are not challenging my possession. So that frustration leads to anger. So that is tamishram. So you first start with ignorance, then you think of illusion of moham, this is mind, then you have mahamoham, which is possessiveness, then taking away or disrupting that possessiveness causes tamishram, which is anger. And then when that tamishram intensifies, then there is this fear, then we are worried about death, right? Because truly you should not be worried about death, but we are worried about death because we are worried about what is going to happen to me, what is going to happen to my possessions, what is going to happen to my family, all of that, right? So that fear of death is coming in. So Brahma creates these five different things because which every jivatma who is there in this universe is bound by these five things. Because if you are not bound by any of these five things, then you have nothing to worry. Then you're going to think, I am the same as a Paramatma, I have nothing to worry. But these things exist so that we are stuck in this material world. Right? Understanding these five things will get us out of it. But because we don't understand these things truly, we're stuck in it. So anyway, so Brahma first creates the five designs or the framework in which all these beings are going to be existing. Once he creates these frameworks, which are absolutely mandatory, like even if we think of some of the things we do in our house or our work, there are a lot of things which we hate doing, but you have to do it, right? Otherwise, it's fundamental to the functioning of things. So Brahma has to do this, but he's also a little upset saying, I'm creating all these unpleasant things, right? Which are actually not bringing the souls towards the Paramatma. These are things which are going to take the souls away from the Paramatma, but it is required. So once he creates it, he's feeling bad about it. So what Brahma does is he gets into another state of penance to say, how do I now work on bringing the souls towards the Paramatma? So that I need to, because I'm taking them away, I also have to give them a path towards coming in. So with that, what he does is four sages come out of Brahma. So they are called the Sanat Kumaras, but they are actually four. They are Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. But they are together called as Sanat Kumara for simplicity, right? So these four sages actually represent the various things by which you can actually reach Bhagavan. So they could be Sankhya, one is yoga, one is detachment, which is Vairagyam, other is austerity. So they have each of these things. And there's a slightly different one later on. We'll see when these sages go to Vaikunta, there is one thing that is missing, which I'll cover at that point. Anyway, so these four sages had formed. Now, the careful thing about here is it's not like these four sages are being born for the first time. Like we remember, right? Like at the end of every Naimittika Pralaya, everything that is there is absorbed into that Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu. So these sages are also in a state of dormancy. They are not doing anything during the Naimittika Pralaya, but when the new Kalpa of Brahma is coming, these sages are coming back up. So they all have their responsibilities, right? So they're just getting recreated. Doesn't mean they're getting born. So that's a born is a very loose word to be used here. So but anyway, they're getting reintroduced as part of their function of this cosmic cycle. So here then Brahma is telling these sages, okay, you are now here. Now, my role is to go create everything. My role is to go create all the beings and create everything that is there. You all have to help me create. So, but these four sages, Sanat Kumara, Sananda, Sanatana, all of them are saying, no, we are not interested in it. Because all we want to be constantly meditating on the Bhagavan, and we are not interested in anything which is not related to austerities and meditation, right? So they're saying here, Vasudeva Parayana, in stanza 5, that word is getting used. We want to be focused on just meditating on this, on Vasudeva. So at the time, the question comes is, how can somebody disobey Brahma, who's your creator, who's bringing you into your, this world? There's always an exception. You can always disobey if what you are doing is Vasudeva Parayanaha, right? So if somebody is calling you, you're not able to go, but if the reason is I'm going to be praying, that exception is always allowed. So even in this case, Brahma is like, okay, I want you to do something, but you are not going to do it, but you're not doing anything useless. Right, so you're doing Vasudeva Parayanaha, so that's fine. You don't have to come and help me. You have your own role in how things are going to be going. And we're going to see in a lot of cases where the Sanat Kumaras are going to come and give knowledge and instructions to so many different people, including to Rishabha Yogishwara and all of these people. They all meet the Sanat Kumara. So they possess so much knowledge, and that knowledge is required for advanced beings to get back to the Supreme Being, Supreme Lord, right? So they have a role to play. So Brahma says, okay, now Brahma has to still go. So he's getting frustrated because the beings he produced are not going to help him. So between his bruor madhye, between his eyebrows, another being comes. Right now, this being which is coming, is like a blue and red in color. And that being, when it comes, that being is willing to listen to the father, right? I'm using the word father very loosely here, but that being is willing to listen to the creator and say, okay, tell me what I need to do. I'm here to help you out right now. So because that being is crying, which the root word is rud, rud means to cry or to howl, that being is called Rudra, because it's the one who cries is called a Rudra. Now we have to separate out this Rudra from Shiva, right? And I'll kind of explain what the fundamental difference between these two things are, because they're not the same. So in like in Chinese they have the yin and yang, right? Like things have to always coexist. Similarly, in our definition of how the cosmic world plays out, creation and anything related to destruction or transformation always coexist. You can't think of it as negative. Everybody has to transform, right? So when you're transforming, you are shedding what you have and getting something new. So transformation or destruction is considered a positive aspect, right? So because the end of something is the beginning of something new. So this creation and destruction, kind of those energies or those forces are always coexisting. So because Brahma is focusing on the creation aspect of it, there is another energy which is required to transform that creation or to destroy one to trigger the next creation. That energy is called as the Rudra, that being which is going to help Brahma with that process of transformation or destruction is called as Rudra. So it is not a negative thing. The word destruction could mean negative, but that's not the indication there, right? So that is the Rudra which is getting created. Now, this is fundamentally different from Shiva, who we know, because Shiva along with Brahma and the Vishnu are the trinity which are governing everything. So this is considered like, let's say how we have Shiva in he's also called as Dakshinamurti in certain cases, because where he's the teacher, right? So at that time, the role of Shiva is that of a teacher, is called Dakshinamurti. Similarly, you can think of this in Shiva Purana and other places. They say an amsham of Shiva is coming as Rudra out of Brahma to trigger that destruction and other things. That's why, when we do Rudram, we pray to Rudra, but that Rudra is actually praying to that Shiva, who also has this role of destruction or transformation. That's why this Rudra is kind of, think of it as an extension of that Shiva. Okay, so it's not the same, but at the same time, this is a separate being that's coming out of Brahma. Anyway, so this Shiva is coming in and this Rudra is coming in, and this Rudra is saying, I'm here to help you out. So then what Brahma does is he says, okay, I'm going to have you take over 11 different types of transformation or destruction that is required for creation. Those are called as the 11 Rudras. And just like how every masculine energy has a feminine energy or a Shakti associated with it, the Shakti of this Rudra is called as a Rudrani. So there are energy beings which are created to assist this Rudras, which are 11 Rudranis. And Brahma says, okay, 11 Rudras, 11 Rudranis, you both now go and take care of the destruction or the transformation aspect of supporting creation, right? So that is the next thing that is actually happening here. Now, like we know in everything, creation and destruction have to always be in balance. If there is too much creation happening but no destruction, that's a problem. If too much destruction is happening and not enough creation is happening, that's also a problem. So what they talk about here is this Rudras and the Rudranis, the amount of beings they create who are going to aid with the destruction is far outpacing Brahma's creation, because Brahma is not progressing enough on creation. But these Rudranis and Rudras are creating so many other beings which are ready to do the transformation and destruction. So Brahma kind of goes and tells them, you pause for a while, because you're not doing it in a structured manner. So he tells that you need to go do a little bit more meditation and everything, because that destructive energy has to be put into a constructive purpose. It has to be used properly or channeled properly, right? All of that energy. So Brahma then instructs them, saying that you take a pause, you go do some meditation, and then you come back and then you help me out properly in balancing creation and the transformation that needs to happen, right? So this kind of goes until about 19, right? Where Brahma tells them to pause. So we'll stop here and then we'll do till then, and then I'll continue the next set of sages who are going to come from there. Okay, so let me see who I had for today. Anandji, you can be a student, and then Vijaya, Kala, Vijaya, Nikki, Vijaya, and then okay, Sriram, you can be a student.
Sure.
All right. So Maitreyo Vacha, we just do one time today because it's a long chapter. Maitreyo Vacha, iti te varnitaha. So you have to kind of use that visarga there. Varnitaha kshattaha, comma. Kalakyah paramatmanaha. Mahima veda garbhota. Yathasrakshin nibodame. मैत्रेयो उवाच इति ते वर्णितः क्षत्तः कालाख्यः परमात्मनः महिमा वेदगर्भोत यथास्राक्षीन् निबोध मे.
मैत्रेय उवाच इति ते वर्णितः क्षत्तः कालाख्यः परमात्मनः महिमा वेदगर्भोद यदा साक्षिन्निबोध मे.
मैत्रेय उवाच इति ते वर्णितः क्षत्तः कालाख्यः परमात्मनः महिमा वेदगर्भोद यदा साक्षिन् निबोध मे.
Sasarjagrendha tamisram. So that ma, we're going to break it, put a im, tamisram. Next word start with the a. Atha tamisram adikrita महामोहं च मोहं च कॉमा तमश्चाज्ञान वृत्तयः. ससर्जाग्रेन्धतामिश्रम् अततामिश्रमादिकृत महामोहं च मोहं च तमश्चाज्ञान वृत्तयः.
ससर्जाग्रेन्धतामिश्रम् अदतामिश्रमादिकृत महामोहं च मोहं च तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्तयः.
ससर्जाग्रेन्धतामिश्रम् अदतामिश्रमधिकृत महामोहं च मोहं च तमस्साज्ञानवृत्तयः.
And the first line tamisram adikrita. Okay, there's a a sound there. Okay, first line.
ससर्जाग्रेन्धतामिश्रम् राजेश
अंग अथ तामिश्रम आदिकृत.
ओके ससर्जाग्रेन्धतामिश्रम् अदतामिश्रमादिकृत महामोहं च मोहं च तमस्साज्ञानवृत्तयः.
दृष्ट्वा पापीयसीं सृष्टिं कॉमा नात्मानं बह्वमन्यत भगवद् ध्यान पूतेन कॉमा मनसान्यां ततो सृजते. दृष्ट्वा पापीयसीं सृष्टिं नात्मानं बह्वमन्यत भगवद् ध्यान पूतेन मनसान्यां ततो सृजते.
दृष्ट्वा पापीयसीं सृष्टिं नात्मानं बहुमन्यत भगवद्ध्यानपूतेन मनसान्यां ततो सृजत्.
दृष्ट्वा पापीयसीं सृष्टिं नात्मानं बह्वमन्यत भगवद्ध्यानभूतेन मनसान्यां ततो सृजत्.
तनकं च सनन्दं च कॉमा सनातनम् अथात्मभूः सनत्कुमारं च मुनीन्. It is a double n and a e there. You can first put a in there, munin, comma. Next word will start with the ni. Nishkriyan urdhvaretasah. सनकं च सनन्दं च सनातनमथात्मभूः सनत्कुमारं च मुनीन् निष्क्रियान् ऊर्ध्वरेतसः
सनकं च सनन्दं च सनातनमधात्मभूः सनत्कुमारं च मुनीन् निष्क्रियान् ऊर्ध्वरेतसः
सनकं सनन्तच्च सनातनम् अदात्मा भूः सनत्कुमारं स मुनीन् निष्क्रियानूर्ध्वरेदसः
तान् बभाषे स्वभूः पुत्रान् प्रजासृजत पुत्रकाः तन्नैच्छन् मोक्षधर्मानो वासुदेव परायणाः तान् बभाषे स्वभूः पुत्रान् प्रजासृजत पुत्रकाः तन्नैच्छन् मोक्षधर्मानो वासुदेव परायणाः
तन्बभाषे स्वभूपुत्रान् प्रजासृजतपुत्रकाः तन्नेच्छन्मोक्षधर्माणो वासुदेवपरायणाः
Ananji, the first line, first word, tan bhabashe.
तान् बभाषे स्वभूपुत्रान्. Thank you, Rajesh.
तान् बभाष स्वभूव पुत्रान् प्रजासृजत पुत्रकाः तन्नैश्चन् मोक्षधर्माणो वासुदेव परायणः
Parayanaः.
वासुदेव परायणाः
Sovadhyatas, one word, sovadhyatas sutairevam, pratyakhyatanu shasanaihi. Cannot break that word. Pratyakhyatanu shasanaihi. Krodam durvishaham jatam, niyantum upachakrame. You can break at that mu. सोवज्ञातस्सुतैरेवं प्रत्याख्यातानुशासनैः क्रोधं दुर्विषहं जातं नियन्तुमुपचक्रमे
सोऽवद्यातस्तुतेरेवं प्रत्याख्यातानुशासनैः क्रोधं दुर्विषखं जातं नियन्तम् उपचक्रमे.
नियन्तुं last line.
नियन्तुम् उपचक्रमे.
सुदैरेवं प्रत्याख्यातानुशासनैः क्रोधं दुर्विषहं जातं नियन्तम् उपचक्रमे
धिया निगृह्यमानोऽपि भ्रुवोर्मध्यात् प्रजापतेः सद्यो जायत तन्मन्युः कुमारो नीललोहितः धिया निगृह्यमानोऽपि भ्रुवोर्मध्यात् प्रजापतेः सद्यो जायत तन्मन्युः कुमारो नीललोहितः
धिया निगृह्यमाणोऽपि भुवोर्मध्यात् प्रजापतेः सद्यो जायत तन्मन्युः कुमारो नीललोहितः.
धिया निगृह्यमानोऽपि भ्रुवोर्मध्यात् प्रजापतेः सत्यो जायत तन्मन्युः कुमारो नीललोहितः
तवै रुरोद देवानां पूर्वजो भगवान् भवः नामानि कुरु मे धातः स्थानानि च जगद्गुरो स वैरुरोद देवानां पूर्वजो भगवान् भवः नामानि कुरु मे धातः स्थानानि च जगद्गुरो
सवैरुरोध देवानां पूर्वजो भगवान् भवः नामानि कुरु मे दातः स्थानानि च जगद्गुरो
सवैरुरोद देवानां पूर्वजो भगवान् भवः नामानि गुरु मे दातः स्थानानि स जगद्गुरो
इति तस्य वचः पाद्मो भगवान् परिपालयन् अभ्यधात् भद्रया वाचा मा रोदिस्तत् करोमि ते इति तस्य वचः पाद्मो भगवान् परिपालयन् अभ्यधात् भद्रया वाचा मा रोदिस्तत् करोमि ते.
इति तस्य वचपात्मो भगवान् परिपालयन् अभ्यदाद्भद्रया वाचा मारोदिस्तत्करोमि ते
इति तस्य वसःपात्मो भगवान् परिपालयन् अभ्यतात् भद्राय वासो मारोदिस्तत्करोमि ते
The second line, Bhadraya Vacha.
अभ्यतात् भद्रया वाचा. Okay.
Yada Rodis Sura Sreshtha, comma, Sodvega Iva Balakaha, Tatas Tvam Abhidasyanti, you can break at that ma, Tvam Abhidasyanti, comma, Namna Rudra Iti Prajaha. यदरोधीसुरश्रेष्ठ सोद्वेग इव बालकः ततस्त्वाम् अभिधास्यन्ति नाम्ना रुद्र इति प्रजाः.
यदरोदिसुरश्रेष्ठ सोऽध्येग इव बालकः ततस्त्वामभिदास्यन्ति नाम्ना रुद्र इति प्रजाः
यदरोदिसुरश्रेष्ठ सोत्वेग इव बालकः ततस्त्वाम् अभिदास्यन्ति नाम्ना रुद्र इति प्रजाः.
So like just brief, like we were telling, so Sadashiva, Shiva itself is a very calm, is a yogi who has everything under control and is the most calmest of persons. But at the same time, he also has the characteristics of Rudra. Like that also he has responsibility, right? So that's why in Rudra, when we start with Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya, we're first starting off saying, I'm praying to that aspect of you, O Shiva, as Rudra, right, who has a destructive force under his control, right? And because he has that energy and destructive force under control, the first of all, we're saying, before we say anything, we're saying, I'm doing namaskarams to you, right? Because when somebody is very powerful and very strong with that level up, you have to first surrender to them, right? So that's how that starts off that way. So anyway, those are some of the subtle things, difference, right, in that. Okay. Hridindriyanya survyoma. We cannot break that word. So Hridindriyanya survyoma, comma, Vayur Agnir Jalam Mahi, Suryas Chandras Tapaschaiva, comma, Stananyagre Kritani me. हृदिन्द्रियाण्यसुर्व्योम वायुरग्निर्जलं मही सूर्यश्चन्द्रस्तपश्चैव स्थानान्यग्रे कृतानि मे.
हृदीन्द्रियाण्यसुर्व्योम वायुरग्निर्जलं मही सूर्यचन्द्रस्तवश्चैव स्थानन्यग्रे कृतानि मे.
हृदिन्द्रियाण्यः सूर्योम वायुरग्निर्जलं मही सूर्यचन्द्रस्तपस्यैव स्थानान्यग्रे कृतानि मे.
Last word, स्थानान्यग्रे कृतानि मे.
स्थानान्यग्रे कृतानि मे.
So now in this 12th one, he's going to say the different names of the 11 Rudras. Manyur Manur Mahinaso, comma, Mahan Shiva Ritatvajaha, Ugrareta Bhavah Kalo, comma, Vama Devo Dhritavrataha. Manyur Manur Mahinaso, Mahan Shiva Ritatvajaha, Ugrareta Bhavah Kalo, Vama Devo Dhritavrataha.
मन्युर्मनुर्महीनसो महान् शिवर्दध्वजः उग्ररेता भवः कालो वामदेवो धृतव्रतः.
मन्युर्मनुर्महीनसो महान् शिवरुद्रध्वजः उग्ररेतो भवः कालो वामदेवो धृतव्रतः.
Second line, first word, Ugra Reta. You said Reto, Reta.
उग्ररेता भवः कालो वामदेवो धृतव्रतः.
In 13 is talking about 11 Rudrani's names. Dhir, Vritti, Rushanomach, comma, Niyut, Sarpirilambika, Sarpirila Ambika, two different names, Sarpirilambika, इरावती सुधा दीक्षा कॉमा रुद्रान्यो रुद्र ते स्त्रियः धीर्वृत्तिरुशनो मा च नियुत्सर्पिरिलाम्बिका इरावती सुधा दीक्षा रुद्रान्यो रुद्र ते स्त्रियः
धीर्वृत्तिर्वृशनेमो च नियुत्सर्पिरिलाम्बिका इरावती सुधा दीक्षा रुद्राण्यो रुद्रते स्त्रियः
दीर्वृद्धि ऋषनोम च नियुत्सर्पिरिलाम्बिका इरावदी सुधा दीक्षा रुद्राण्यो रुद्रदे स्त्रियः
गृहाणैतानि नामानि शॉर्ट ई कॉमा स्थानानि च सयोषणः एभिस् सृज प्रजा बह्वीः कॉमा प्रजानाम् असि यत्पतिः गृहाणैतानि नामानि स्थानानि च सयोषणः एभिः सृज प्रजा बह्वीः प्रजानाम् असि यत्पतिः
गृहाणीतानि नामानि स्थानानि च सयोषणः एभिः सृज प्रजा बह्वीः प्रजानामसि यत्पतिः.
So that's just a line, the word before the comma in the second line. Bahvihi.
Bahvihi.
Yeah, long E there, yeah.
गृहाणैतानि नामानि स्थानानि सयोषणः येभिः सृज प्रजा बह्वीः प्रजानम् असि यत्पतिः
इत्यादिष्टस् स गुरुणा कॉमा भगवान् नीललोहितः सत्त्वाकृति स्वभावेन कॉमा ससर्जात्म समाः प्रजाः इत्यादिष्टः स गुरुणा भगवान् नीललोहितः सत्त्वाकृतिस्वभावेन ससर्जात्मः समाः प्रजाः
इतगुरुणा भगवान् नीललोहितः सत्त्वाकृतिस्वभावेन ससर्जात्मा समा प्रजाः
इत्यादि षष्ठस्य कुरु सत्त्वाकृति स्वभावेन sorry
No, I think I lost my connection. I think I'm back now, but I couldn't hear anything you said. I think it's probably my end.
okay
Can you just say it again?
इत्यादिष्टस्य कुरुणा भगवान् नीललोहितः सत्त्वाकृति स्वभावे ससर्जात्म समा
Sorry, I didn't hear the last word. I don't know if it's my end or Sriram.
I could hear it clearly.
Illa, we can hear Sriram well.
Oh, you can hear Sriram. Okay,
I
I
can
think
hear.
it's something
Yeah.
with my connection. I know it's raining outside. I don't know if something is gone. Okay. Anyway, if you cannot hear me, then let me know. Rudranam Rudra Srishtanam, comma Samantat Grasatam Jagat Nishamya Sankhyaasho. That word we cannot break it. It's Nishamya Asankhyaasho. So we can say it together. Nishamya Sankhyaasho Yutan, comma Praja Patira Shankata. Rudranham Rudra Krishnan.
Is it Sankhyaasho? Sankhyaasho.
Sankhyaasho. You have Sankhyaasho?
Illa,
യാശോ தான் இருக்கு.
Sankhyaasho.
Yeah, the Sankhyaasho is what I have, yeah. Rudranham Rudra Srishtanam Samantat Grasatam Jagat Nishamya Sankhyaasho Yutan Prajapatira Shankata.
रुद्राणां रुद्रसृष्टानां समन्दात् ग्रसतां जगद निशाम्या संख्याशो युधान् निशाम्या संख्याशो युधान् प्रजापतिरशङ्कत.
But it's difficult to land that, but yeah, the comma is after Yutan.
रुद्राणां रुद्रसृष्टानां समन्दात् कृसदां जगत् निसाम्या संज्ञासो यूधान् प्रजापतिरसङ्गतः
Shankata
प्रजापतिरसङ्गत
alam prajabis srishtabihi. So the re that is there, we're going to remove it, put a visarga comma, srishtabihi comma. Then it will become idrushibis surotama maya sah dahantibihi, another visarga comma. Then on top of the D, if you have a ear, that will go away. Dishash chakshur birul banaihi. Dishash chakshur birul banaihi. Alam prajabhisrishtabhihi idrushibhis surotama maya sahadahantibihi. Dishash chakshur birul banaihi.
अलं प्रजाभिसृष्टाभिः ईदृशीभिः सुरौतम मया सह दहन्तीभिः दिशचक्षुर्भिरुल्लभैः
That last one more time. Dishash chakshur birul banaihi.
दिशचक्षुर्भिरुल्लभणैः
Birul banaihi.
विरुल्बणैः.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rajesh.
अलं प्रजाभिसृष्टाभि इतृषिभिः सुरोत्तम मया सह दहन्तीभिः दिशचक्षुर्भिरुल्बणैः
The first line, Srishtabihi, visarga irukanga.
अलं प्रजाभिसृष्टाभिः त्रिसुभिः सुरोत्तम
Idrushibhis surottama.
ईदृशुभिः सुरोत्तम ओके
அந்த word பண்ணு. Alam prajabhis srishtabihi, comma. Idrushibhis surottama.
अलं प्रजाभिसृष्टाभिः ईदृशीभिः सुरोत्तमः
Surottama, no visarga.
Sorry, सुरोत्तम okay.
No. All right, so we'll switch here, but let me get to some more of the meaning. We kind of stopped at 19 till last thing where the various Rudranis, he just tells, okay, you pause, you go pray, and then you kind of get your things under control. So next, Brahma is now going to the next level of creation. So in 22, it will tell, Marichihi, Atri, Angirasa, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratuhu, Bhriguhu, Vasishtaha, Dakshaha, Dashamas, Tatra Naradaha. So the 10 other sages are coming, right? And like we spoke, and for those of you who remember Narayanam, it will say, Tasyata Sargarasikasya Marichiratrihi Tatrangira Kratumuni Pulaha Pulastyaha Angada Jayata Briguscha Vasishta Dakshau Srinaradascha Bhagavan Bhavadangridasaka. Same thing, the same 10 names, right? So again, like we spoke about the Sanat Kumaras and everything. So these are 10 who are. Narada is a little bit of an exception in this case, like we saw the history of Narada, right? As to what Narada was in his previous birth. I don't know specifically, but my assumption based on what I know is this day of Kalpa of Brahma, Narada is coming as Narada. In the previous birth, he was that boy who we saw in the first skandam, right? So that Narada could be a little bit of an exception, but the other rishis who are all coming, like we saw earlier, is they are also in a state of dormancy during the Naimitika Pralaya, and they are not coming back because each of them has a function to do as part of this Kalpa of Brahma, and they are all coming. And then it talks about, again, Brahma doesn't have a physical body, right? Just like how the Virat Purusha did not have a physical body. But for explanation purposes, they said various things came out of the various physical bodies of the Virat Purusha. Similarly, they are saying each of these beings, each of these rishis came from different parts of Brahma. Like it says, one of them, Vasishta came from the breath of Brahma. One of them came from the mouth. One of them came from the ear, kind of giving like a human image or a structure to Brahma and then coming. But the main thing they're saying is Narada comes from the consciousness of Brahma. So because of which Narada is the one who is essentially the epitome of devotion compared to all these people, including these 10 rishis who have come, including Sanat Kumara, Sanatana, Sanakas, all of them, when you compare all of them together, the one who's putting devotion upfront is Narada. Everybody else has got different levels of knowledge and other things, which all lead to Bhagavan, but they all are responsible for various things. But Narada is really responsible for the Bhakti Margam or the devotion Margam. So that happens. So then, sorry, one second. So then after that, now, so now, like we spoke about the male aspect and the feminine aspect of energies. And at this point, still in the creation process, there is no male, there is no female at this point. So while we use he, she, and all that, there's no male or no female at this point. Okay. And even in the next one, there is another energy called as Vak, which is coming, which is it might we'll say as feminine, but it is not a female like we know it. It's the feminine energy. What that means is Brahma as a creator has got a very deliberate, intentional process he has to do, which is he has to go create. So he's very deliberate about that approach, right? Now, like an artist, they might want to draw something, but there's a creative aspect which has to come in as well in the process, the knowledge. So that is what Vak is representing. The Vak is representing the feminine aspect of Brahma, which is driving the more creative energy which is required in the overall creation process, right? So that Vak is also coming out of Brahma. Now, there is a point that comes in there saying that Brahma gets attached to Vak, right? Now, no, this is written in different ways in different places, but we cannot literally interpret it that way because Vak, it says, is in some places, not in Bhagavatam, it says Vak is the daughter of Brahma. No, there's no son, daughter, husband, wife, or anything at this point, right? So, first of all, that does not make sense. And there's nothing called as attraction between two beings at this time because it's all energy we are talking about, energy forms. So, here, what it's really talking about is this Vak, which represents the creative aspect and the knowledge which is required. Brahma is getting too attached to the knowledge that is required to get into creation. Like we said, anything for us to remain close to God is you should not get pulled into all of this too much of attachment towards anything. So that's what is happening. Brahma is getting too focused into attachment, into knowledge and the creativity aspects. So this Marichi and all these other rishis who came earlier are telling Brahma, you cannot get attached to something so much when you have a responsibility of doing, right? So you focus on your responsibility, you use all of this creative energy as your tools, but don't get too enamored by them. Don't get too attached to them that you get sucked into it, right? Like we do with a lot of things is you need a lot of these things for your purpose, but you should not get too attached to those things. So that is the message these rishis are giving Brahma, saying that, you should not get too attached to this. So Brahma then realizes it, and then he takes a step back. And on the same thing also, Bhattaripad also talks about in Narayanam also. So anyway, so Brahma takes a step back and he says, okay, so I am now going to go and I'm not going to get too attached to it. I'm going to use it as my tool. So that's what happens up to like about 32 or 33. And then it talks about how, so the knowledge, now Brahma has the knowledge, he has a tool. So now it talks about how the various things responsible for the beings are coming about. Now, suddenly it jumps into not necessarily earthly beings yet, but the tools which are required for the earthly beings to survive. So, for example, it talks about how the Vedas are there. Now, like you said, the Vedas are not, it is what Brahma hears in his mind as a sound. It is just sound vibrations, right? It does not have a structure. No, nothing was written or anything. Now, we have to separate out what Vyasa did versus what Brahma is hearing. Brahma is hearing the core essence of the Vedas. What is the true nature of what Vedas are talking? Brahma hears it. And then he's communicating that to all of his, what we call as children, which are Bhrigu, Vasishta, Narada, and all of them. What Veda Vyasa does later is he's taking all of that knowledge and compiling it into different structures so that people can understand there's a structure to it, right? Just like how Bhagavatam, Bhagavan said it in 4 stanzas, but there are 18,000 stanzas, right? So similarly, Brahma has the core essence of the Vedas. He's teaching to all his children, all the beings who are coming there, as well as not just the Vedams itself, but also it talks about how he talks about what is required, like satyam, tapas, shaucham, daya. So all of the compassion, austerities, truthfulness, how you have to follow things to then also eventually reach liberation. So all of that knowledge, Brahma is the one who's actually giving all these beings and everything. And like, it talks into more details about everything that Brahma does, in other things which are required. But the net is the Vedams, which are the sound, the Shabdam, which Brahma is hearing, he's communicating that to everybody. Then he also talks about all the actions that one has to do, leveraging the Vedas to be able to get to Bhagavan, and also the application of these Vedas through the various dharmas, how you have to follow certain things. All of that is also communicated. It also talks about how Brahma is able to also communicating the Puranas. Now the clarification there is, for us, things are sequential, right? We had 10 years back, 100 years back, 1,000 years into the future. But for somebody like a Brahma who is a creator, everything is happening. He has access to all the information, right? And we've seen it so many times, even during Krishna Avataram, Narada comes and tells Krishna himself, you are going to be doing all these things. So they all know what is going to happen in the future. So if you take the key essence of the Puranas, there's a lot of knowledge embedded in the Purana. So Brahma is also communicating those knowledge to all the rishis and everybody who has come there, because that's how they know what is the key takeaway, right, from each of these Puranas. So all of that Brahma is teaching. And then this is also called as the Veda Angam, which are the limbs of the Vedas. So, things like the Ayurveda, which is certain things which are required for medicine purposes. Then there is other multiple different Vedas, how to build temples and structures, right, for humans. So all of that knowledge is actually getting passed. So he's essentially building the foundation of everything which is required for human life, because that is going to start beginning at the end of this chapter. So that is the primary one that goes on till about like 40 or 45. Okay, so let's see who I had in this. Srividya, Ramesh, Rikaranki. Yeah, you're there. Okay. And then Revati, you can be student. Let's start at 17. Okay. Tapa atishtha bhadram te, sarva bhuta sukhavaham tapasaiva yata purvam, srashta vishwamidam bhavan. Tapa atishtha bhadram te sarvabhuta sukhavaham tapasaiva yatha purvam srashta vishwamidam bhavan.
Tapa atishta bhadram te sarvabhuta sukhavaham tapasaiva yata purvam srashta vishwamidam bhavan. Tapa atishta bhadram te.
One time.
Only once?
Yeah, only one.
Yeah.
Tapa adishta patram te sarvabhuta sukhavaham tapasaiva yatha purvam srashta vishmitam bhavan.
Vishwamidam bhavan.
Srashta vishwamitam bhavan.
Tapasaiva param jyotihi. Put a visargan comma. Next, on top of the bha, there is a ir that will go away. Bhagavantam adhokshajam sarva bhuta guha vasam. Make that ma and im, vasam, comma. Next word starts with the a. Anjasa vindate puman. Tapasaiva param jyotihi bhagavantam adhokshajam sarva bhuta guha vasam anjasa vindate puman. Shivati, mute little girl. Revati, go ahead. Yeah.
Oops, sorry, I was on mute. I'm on the phone zone. Tapasaiva param jyotihi bhagavantam adokshajam sarvabhuta guhavasam anjasa vindate puman.
Tapasaiva param jyotihi bhagavantam adokshajam sarvabhuta guhavasam anjasa vindate puman.
Maitreyo vacha evam atma bhuvadishtah, parikramya giram patim bhadamityamum. You can break it that ma if you want. Bhadamityamum amantrya, vivesha tapase vanam. Maitreyo vacha evam atma bhuvadishtah parikramya giram patim bhadamityamum amantrya vivesha tapase vanam.
Maitreya vacha एव आत्मभुवादिष्टः परिक्रम्य गिरां पतिं भाडमित्यमुमामन्त्र्य विवेश तपसेवनम्
मैत्रेय उवाच एवमात्मभुवादिष्टः दिष्टम् दिष्टः
दिष्टः
एवम् ओके एवमात्मभुवादिष्टः परिक्रम्य गिरां पतिं भाडम् इत्यमो मामन्तर्य विवेश तपसेवनम्
அந்த காமாக்கு முன்னாடி செகண்ட் லைன் ஆமந்த்ரிய
इत्यमो मामन्त्र्य ओके
अथाभिध्यायतः सर्गं दश पुत्राः प्रजज्ञिरे भगवच्छक्तियुक्तस्य लोकसन्तानहेतवः अथाभिध्यायतः सर्गं दशपुत्राः प्रजज्ञिरे भगवच्छक्तियुक्तस्य लोकसन्तानहेतवः
अथाभिध्यायतः सर्गं दशपुत्राः प्रजज्ञिरे भगवच्छक्तियुक्तस्य लोकसन्तानहेतवः
अहाभिध्यायतः सर्गं दशपुत्राः प्रज्जिरे
प्रजज्ञिरे
दशपुत्राः प्रजज्जिरे भगवच्छक्तियुक्तस्य लोकसन्तानहेतवः
मरीचिर Atriangirasau, or you can say Marichi Ratriangirasau. It's Marichi Atri Angirasau, three names there. Marichi Ratriangirasau, comma, Pulastyah Pulahah Kratuhu, Brigur Vasishtho Dakshascha, comma, Dashamas Tatra Naradaha. Marichiratriangirasau, Pulastyah Pulahah Kratuhu, भृगुर वसिष्ठो दक्षश्च दशमस्तत्र नारदः
मरीचिरत्यङ्गिरसौ पुलस्त्यः पुलः क्रतुः भृगुर्वसिष्ठो दक्षश्च दशमस्तत्र नारदः
मरीचिरत्रियङ्गिरसौ पुलस्त्यः पुलः क्रतुः भृगुर्वसिष्ठो दक्षः शतसमस्तत्र नारदः
दक्षश्च
दशमस्तत्र नारदः
उत्सङ्गान् नारदो जज्ञे दक्षोऽङ्गुष्टात् दक्षो अङ्गुष्ट सो दक्षोऽङ्गुष्टात् स्वयंभुवः प्राणात् वसिष्ठः संजातो भृगुस्त्वचि खरात् क्रतुः. So in the next three stanzas talks about who is coming from where. Utsangan narado jagne dakshongushtat swayam bhuvah pranat vasishtas sanjato bhrigustvachi karat kratuh.
उत्सङ्गान् नारदो जज्ञे दक्षोऽङ्गुष्ठात् स्वयं भुवः प्राणाद् वसिष्ठसञ्जातो भृगुस्त्वचिकरात् क्रतुः
उत्सङ्गान् नारदो जज्ञे दक्षोऽङ्गुष्ठात् स्वयंभुवः प्राणात् वसिष्ठः सञ्जातो भृगुस्त्वचिकरात् क्रतुः भृगुस्त्वचिकरात् क्रतुः.
இந்த பிரிகுஸ் அங்க இஸ் இருக்குன ரேவதி பிரிகுஸ் त्वचि
त्वचिकरात् क्रतुः
पुलहो नाभितो जज्ञे पुलस्त्यः कर्णयोर ऋषिः अंगिरा मुकतोक्ष्णोत्रिः. It's मुकतो अक्ष्णो अत्रिः. So three different words, but it's one word. मुकतोक्ष्णोत्रिः put a visargan comma. Next, on top of the ma, if you have a ir, that will go away. Marichir manaso bhavat. पुलहो नाभितो जज्ञे पुलस्त्यः कर्णयो ऋषिः अंगिरा मुकतोक्ष्णोत्रिः मरीचिर्मनसो भवत्.
Is it Rushihi or Rishihi? Second line. Karnayor Rushihi or Rishihi?
Rishihi.
Okay.
R-
We have Rushihi. Okay.
पुलहो नाभितो जज्ञे पुलस्त्यः कर्णयोर्ऋषिः अङ्गिरामुखतोक्षणोत्रिः मरीचिर्मनसोऽभवत्
पुलहो नाभितो जज्ञे पुलस्त्यः कर्णयोर्ऋषिः अङ्गिरामुहतोक्षणोत्रीर्मरीचिर्मनसो भवत्.
And the second line, the ksha, you are using a full ksha there. It's iksh, mukatoksh notrihi.
अङ्गिरामुहतोक्ष्णोत्रिः मरीचिर्मनसो भवत्.
Dharmas stanat dakshinato, comma, yatra narayana swayam, adharma prishthato yasmat. So the in that is there, that becomes a it when you put a comma there. So yasmat, comma, mrityur loka bhayankaraha. Dharmastana dakshinato yatra narayana swayam adharmah prishthato yasmat mrityur loka bhayankaraha.
धर्मस्थनाददक्षिणतो यत्र नारायणस्वयम् अधर्मः पृष्ठतो यस्मात् मृत्युर्लोकभयङ्करः
धर्मस्तनात् दक्षिणतो यत्र नारायणस्वयम् अधर्मः पृष्ठतो यस्मात् मृत्युर्लोकभयङ्करः.
Hridi amo bruvah krodo, comma, lobash chadhara dachadat asyad vak sindavo medrat. So you have a double n there, so that one of the in there will become a it. Medrat, comma. Next word will start with the ni. Nirritif payor aghashrayah. In bracket that if you want. Payor aghashrayah. Hridikamo bruvah krodho lobascha dharadachhadat asyad vak sindhavo medrat nirritif payor aghashrayah.
हृदि कामो ब्रुवः क्रोधो लोभश्चाधरदच्छदात् आस्याद्वाक् सिन्धवो मेढ्रात् निर्वृतिः पयोरघाश्रयः
Payoraghashrayah.
पायोरगाश्रयः
हृतिकामो बृहक्रोधो लोपश्च अदरदच्छदात् आस्यात् वाक्सिन्धवो मेढ्रात् निर्वृतिः पायोरकाश्रयः. निर्वृतिः पायोरकाश्रयः.
छायायाः कर्दमो जज्ञे, कॉमा, देवहूत्याः पतिः प्रभुः मनसो देहतश्चेदं, कॉमा, जज्ञे विश्वकृतो जगत्. Actually, we forgot to say a few things. So this dharma, we saw the 10 sages who had actually come there. And then, the dharma deva is also coming. That is one of the 11th person who's coming. And then Kardama Prajapati is also coming from the shadow of Brahma. And here it is just referring, saying that this is the same Kardama who Devahuti is going to get married to, the Kapila, all that. So that's going to come later, but it's just introducing Kardama as the one who's married to Devahuti. He is also coming from Brahma. छायायाः कर्दमो जज्ञे देवहूत्याः पतिः प्रभुः मनसो देहतश्चेदं जज्ञे विश्वकृतो जगत्.
छायायाः कर्दमो शक्ये देवहूत्याः पतिः प्रभुः मनसो देहतश्चेदं यज्ञे विश्वकृतो जगत्
छायायाः कर्तमो जज्ञे देवहूत्याः पतिः प्रभुः मनसो देहतश्चेदं जज्ञे विश्वकृतो जगत्.
वाचं दुहितरं तन्वीं, स्वयंभूर् हरतीं मनः Akamam chakame kshattah, sakama iti nash shrutam. Vacham duhitaram tanvim swayam bhur harati manah akamam chakame kshattah sakama iti nashrutam.
वाचं दुहितरं तन्वीं स्वयं भूर्हरति मनः अकामां चकमे क्षतः स काम इति न श्रुतम्.
And the second line before the comma, kshattah.
Okay. अकामां चकमे क्षतः स काम इति न श्रुतम्.
वासं दुहितरं तन्वीं स्वयंभूर्हरधि मनः अकामां चगमे श्रद्धः सगाम इति न श्रुतम्.
Tam adharme kritamatim, bilokya pitaram sutaha marichi mukhya munayo, vishrambhat pratyabodhayan. Tam adharme kritamatim bilokya pitaram sutaha marichi mukhya munayo vishrambhat pratyabodhayan.
तं धर्मे कृतमतिं विलोक्य पितरं सुताः मरीचिमुख्या मुनयो विश्रम्भात् प्रत्यबोधयन्.
Srividya, the first word, tam adharme. Either tam adharme or tam adharme.
Okay, tamadharme. Okay.
तमधर्मे कृतमतिं विलोक्य पितरं सुताः मरीचिमुख्या मुनयो विश्रम्भात् प्रत्यबोधयन्.
Naitat purvaih kritam tvadye, na karishyanti chapare, yatvam duhitaram gachehe. So the ra, that is the visargan comma, gachehe. Next word starts with the a. Anigrihyangajam. Anigrihya angajam. Anigrihyangajam prabhu. Naitat purvaih kritam tvadye na karishyenti chapare yatvam duhitaram gachehe anigrihyanggajam prabhu.
नैतत् पूर्वैः कृतं त्वद्ये न करिष्यन्ति चापरे यत्त्वं दुहितरं गच्छेहे अनिगृह्याङ्गजं प्रभुः.
नैतत् पूर्वैः कृतं त्वत्येन करिष्यन्ति चापरे यत्त्वं दुहितरं गच्छेहे अनिगृह्याङ्गजं प्रभुः.
And the duhitaram, du and the short u, okay. Duhitaram. I heard a du. Yeah.
यत्त्वं दुहितरं गच्छेहे अनिगृह्याङ्गजं प्रभुः.
Tejiya samapi he tat. Again, the same logic. The double na that is there. One of them becomes a it. He tat, comma. Next word starts with a na. Na su shlokyam jagadguru. Yad brittam anutishtan vai lokaha. That visarga has to be said. Lokaha kshemaya kalpate. So they're saying that for the benefit of the world, you Brahma, you yourself don't get too much attached to anything, and anything you're doing, you do it with just just what is required, but not getting too sucked into the various attachment things. Tejihya samapi hetate nasu shlokyam jagadguru yad brittam anutishtan vai lokaha kshemaya kalpate.
तेजीयसामपि हेतत् nasluk. Sorry, what is that word there? Sorry.
Na su shlokyam.
Okay.
ஏ தன்னு போட்டிருக்கு.
அங்க அந்த பாஸ் பண்றதுனால that in becomes a it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he tat is the right word, but when the na is coming later, when it's written, it becomes a in.
So நம்ம இத்துன்னு இப்ப மாத்திக்கணுமா? இது இருக்கு.
No, because you're putting a comma. If you're not stopping there, then you can say Tejihyasaamapi hetan nastu shlokyam jagadguru when you're saying it together. But because we are pausing there, it becomes he tat.
Thanks.
तेजीयसामपि हेतत् न सुश्लोक्यं जगद्गुरो यत्तद्वृत्तमुनि मनुस्तिष्ठन् वै लोकः क्षेमाय कल्पते.
Second line, first word, yad vrittam.
यद्वृत्तम्, okay, sorry. यद्वृत्तमनुतिष्ठन्.
तेजीयशामपि हेतत् न सुश्लोक्यं जगद्गुरो यद्वृत्तम् अनुदिष्टन् वै लोकः क्षेमाय कल्पते. और लोकक्षेमाय कल्पते சொல்லணுமோ?
Lokah and the lokaha ha sound.
तिष्ठन् वै लोकः. Okay.
Tishtan vai, comma, and then lokah kshemaya kalpate.
Okay.
Tasmai namo bhagavate, comma, ya idam svena rochisha atmastam vyanjayamasa, comma, sa dharmam patumarhati. Tasmai namo bhagavate ya idam svena rochisha atmastam vyanjayamasa sa dharmam patumarhati.
तस्मै नमो भगवते य इदं स्वेन रोचिषा आत्मस्थं व्यञ्जयामास स धर्मं पातुमर्हति.
तस्मै नमो भगवते य इदं स्वेन रोचिषा आत्मस्थं व्यञ्जयामास स धर्मं पातुमर्हति.
स इत्थं गृणतः पुत्रान् पुरो दृष्ट्वा प्रजापतीन् प्रजापतिपतिस्तन्वं तत्याज व्रीडितस्तदा तां दिशो जगृहुर्घोरां नीहारं यद्विदुस्तमः. स इत्थं गृणतः पुत्रान् पुरो दृष्ट्वा प्रजापतीन् प्रजापतिपतिस्तन्वं तत्याज व्रीडितस्तथा तां दिशो जगृहुर्घोरां नीहारं यद्विदुस्तमः.
स इत्थं गृणतः पुत्रान् पुरो दृष्ट्वा प्रजापतीन् प्रजापतिपतिस्तन्वं तत्याज व्रीडितस्तदा तां दिशो जगृहुर्घोरां निहारं यद्विदुस्तमः.
Niharam, long yang. Niharam.
निहारं यद्विदुस्तमः.
स इत्थं गृणतः पुत्रान् पुरो दृष्ट्वा प्रजापतिन् प्रजापतिपतिस्तन्वं तत्याज व्रीडितस्तथा तां दिशो जगृहुर्घोरां निहारं यद्विदुस्तमः.
Kadachit dhyayatas srashtuhu visarga comma. Then on the Veda, there is a ir, that ir goes away. Veda asams chatur mukhat khatam srakshyamyaham, again half ikshu only, srakshyamyaham lokan, samavetan yatha pura. Kadachit dhyayatas srashtuhu Veda asams chatur mukhat कथं स्रक्ष्याम्यहं लोकान् समवेतान् यथा पुरा.
कदाचिद्ध्यायतसृष्टुः वेदा आसंश्चतुर्मुखात् कथं सृक्ष्याम्यहं लोकान् समवेतान् यथा पुरा.
See the first time,
स्रष्टुः, okay. कदाचिद्ध्यायतसृष्टुः.
गताचिद्ध्यायतः स्रष्टुः वेदा आसंश्चतुर्मुखात् गतं स्रक्ष्याम्यहं लोकान् समवेदान् यथा पुरा.
Chaturhotram karma tantram, put a im there instead of the mu, comma. Next word starts with the u. Upaveda nayai saha dharmasya padash chatvarah. Again, that is goes away, visarga, comma, chatvarah. Tathaivashrama vrittayah. Chaturhotram karma tantram upavedanayai saha dharmasya padash chatvarah tathaivashrama vrittayah.
चातुर्होत्रं कर्मतन्त्रम् उपवेदनयैः सह धर्मस्य पादाश्चत्वारः तथैवाश्रमवृत्तयः
चातुर्होत्रं कर्मतन्त्रः तन्त्रः
Tantram.
उपवेदनयैः सह धर्मस्य पादाश्चत्वारः तथैवाश्रमवृत्त्यः
Vrittayah.
तथैवाश्रमवृत्तयः
And the first line, the Revati, Tantram. Okay. You said
कर्मतन्त्रं
Tantraha. Tantram.
Okay.
Vidurau Vacha. Savai Vishwa Srijamisho, comma, Vedadin Mukato Srijat. Yad Yad Yena Srijat Devaha. So that is goes away. Puts a Visarga. Tanme Bruhi Tapodhana. So Vidura is asking more questions. Tell me more about all the things that came. Vidurhauvacha Tabai Vishwasrijamisho Vedadin Mukato Srijate Yadyad Yena Srijat Devaha Tanme Bruhi Tapodhana.
विदुरोवाच स वै विश्वसृजामीशो वेदादीन् मुखतो सृजत् यद्यद् येनासृजत् देवः तन्मे ब्रूहि तपोधन
विदुर उवाच स वै विश्वसृजामीशो वेदान्तीन् मुखतो सृजत् यत् यो नो सृजत् देवः तन्मे ब्रूहि तपोधन
And the last line, Yadyad Yena Srijat Devaha.
यद्यत् येनासृजत् देवः तन्मे ब्रूहि तपोधन
All right, we'll switch last round. We'll do 20 more stanzas left. We'll take only 20 minutes. The remaining meaning I'll say in the next class. No, so we can wrap it up. It's 3:22 right now. 3:45 we'll wrap it up. Priya Srikumar, you are there today, right? Yeah. Okay. And Kannan, if you are able to stay for the next 20 minutes. Yeah. Maitreyo Vacha Rig Yajus Samatharvakyan, but anyway, Samatharvakyan, comma, Vedan Purvadibhir Mukhaihi, Shastram Ijyam Stuti Stomam, comma, Prayaschittam Vyadat Kramat. Maitreyo Vacha Rigyajus Samatharvakyan, Vedan Purvadibhir Mukhaihi, Shastramijyam Stutistomam Prayaschittam Vyadhat Kramat.
Maitreya Rigyayajusamathar Vyakyan.
Yeah, sorry, you're adding an extra ya there. That's right. Rigyajus.
Okay. Rigyajusamathar Vakyan. Vedan Purvadibhir Mukhaihi Shastramijyam Stutistomam Prayachittam Vyathat Kramat.
Maitreyo Vacha Rigyajusamathar Vakyan Vedan Purvadibhir Mukhaihi Shastrabhidyam Stutistomam Prayaschittam Vyadakramat.
The Athar Vakyan, you don't have to explicitly say the A because it's getting merged with that Ma. So, Rigyajusamathar Vakyan is one word.
Okay.
Ayurvedam Dhanurvedam, comma, Gandharvam Vedamatmanah, Stapatyam Chasrujat Vedam, comma, Kramat Purvadibhir Mukhaihi. Ayurvedam Dhanurvedam Gandharvam Vedamatmanah, Stapatyam Chasrujat Vedam, Kramat Purvadibhir Mukhaihi.
Ayurvedam Dhanurvedam Gandharvam Vedamatmanah Stapatyam Chasrijadvedam Kramat Purvadibhir Mukhaihi.
Ayurvedam Dhanurvedam Gandharvam Vedamatmanah Stapatyam Chasrijadvedam Kramat Purvadibhir Mukhaihi.
Itihasa Puranani, comma, Panchamam Vedamishwarah Sarvebhya Eva Vaktrebhyah, comma, Sasruje Sarva Darshanaha. Like the Itihasas and the Puranas are the fifth Vedas. Itihasa Puranani Panchamam Vedamishwarah Sarvebhya Eva Vaktrebhyah Sasruje Sarva Darshanaha.
इतिहासपुराणानि पञ्चमं वेदमीश्वरः सर्वेभ्य एव वक्त्रेभ्यः ससृजे सर्वदर्शनः
इतिहासपुराणानि पञ्चमं वेदमीश्वरः सर्वेभ्य एव वक्त्रेभ्यः ससृजे सर्वदर्शनः
षोडशयुक्तौ पूर्ववक्त्रात् it comma Purishvagnishthu tavat. We cannot break that word. It's Purishu Agnisht combined there. So Purishvagnishthu tavat. Aptor Yamati Ratrau. Even that is one word. Aptor Yamati Ratrau cha, comma. Vajapeyam Sagosavam. Shodashyuktau Purvavaktraat Purishvagnishthu tavat. Aptoryamati Ratrau cha. Vajapeyam Sagosavam.
ராஜேஸ்வரர் கொஸ்டின் புரீஷ் யக்னிஷ்டு தாவத்தகன்னு இருக்கு தாவத்தன்னு இருக்கு நீங்க
Puri
வகுச்சுன மாதிரி கேட்டது
ஆமா வாதாங்க because I think it's Purishu Agnishtu Tavada. So வாதம்
எண்டிங்ல தாவத்த பட் நீங்க சொன்ன தாவத்து இந்த மாதிரி இருந்தது சொன்னது
இல்ல இல்ல அதுல
தாவத்த.
வக்
திரும்பி சொல்லுங்க பிரியா.
சாரி புரீஷ் யக்னிஷ்டு தாவத்தன்னு இருக்கு என்னோட புக்ல.
அதான் so it's Purish Vagnishtu only I have it. Because Purishu வரதுனால அங்க வந்து
புரீஷ் அக்னிஷ்டு தான் இருக்கு எனக்கு.
so just change it to va then.
யக்னிஷ்டு தான் இருக்கு.
ஆமா
தமிழ்ல யக்னிஷ்டு இருக்கு.
யக்னிஷ்டு
யா இருக்கு. ஆமா தமிழ்ல எனக்கு தமிழ்ல இது இருக்கு அதுல யா தான் இருக்கு.
யா தான் இருக்கு.
Okay, let me check. For now, keep it as va, but I'll follow up and confirm, okay?
Thanks, Rajesh.
षोडशयुक्तौ पूर्ववक्त्राद् पुरीष्वग्निष्टु तावत् आप्तोर्यामातिरात्रौ च वाजपेयं सगोत्सवम्
षोडशयुक्तौ पूर्ववक्त्रात् पुरीष्वग्निष्टु तावत् आप्तोर्यामातिरात्रौ च वाजपेयं सगोत्सवम्
Vidya Danam Tapas Satyam, comma, Dharmasyeti Padani cha Ashramamscha Yata Sankyam, break that im, comma, next word starts with the a, Asrijat Saha Vrittibihi. Vidyadhanam Tapas Satyam Dharmasyeti Padani cha Ashramamscha Yata Sankyam Asrijat Saha Vrittibihi.
विद्यादानं तपःसत्यं धर्मस्येति पदानि च आश्रमांश्च यथा संख्यम् असृजत् सह वृत्तिभिः
विद्यादानं तपःसत्यं धर्मस्येति पदानि च आश्रमांश्च यथा संख्यम् असृजत् सह वृत्तिभिः
सावित्रं प्राजापत्यं च ब्राह्मं चात बृहत् तथा वार्ता संचय शालीन then put a plus शिलोच इति वै गृहे सावित्रं प्राजापत्यं च ब्राह्मं चात बृहत् तथा वार्ता संचय शालीन शिलोच इति वै गृहे
सावित्रं प्राजापत्यं च ब्राह्मं चाथ बृहत् तथा वार्ता संजयशालीन शिलोञ्च इति वै गृहे
सावित्रं प्राजापत्यं च ब्राह्मं चाथ बृहत् तथा वार्ता संचयशालीन शिलोच इति वै गृहे
Rajesh, is it Siloncha or Silocha?
It's in the nya would have so Shiloncha.
Okay.
Vaikhanasa Valakilyau Dumbara. So that we are going to just say that thing together. So Valakilyau Dumbara Penapa Bane. So that line is continuous. Nyase Kuti Chakaf Purvam, comma, Bahvodo Amsa Nishkriyau. वैखानसावालकिल्यौ दुम्बराः फेन पावने न्यासे कुटीचकः पूर्वं बह्वोदो हंस निष्क्रियौ
वैखानसा बालखिल्यदुम्बराः फेन पापने न्यासे कुडीचकः पूर्वं बह्वोदो हंस निष्क्रियौ
Priya, that first line, Balakilyo, B as in Victor.
वालखिल्यौ
वैखानसा वालकिल्यौ दुम्बरापेन भावने न्यासे कुटीचकः पूर्वं बह्वादो हंस निष्क्रियौ बह्वोदो हंस निष्क्रियौ
आन्वीक्षिकी त्रयी वार्ता, दण्ड नीतिस् तथैव च एवं व्याहृतयश्चासन्, प्रणवो ह्यस्य दह्रतः आन्वीक्षिकी त्रयी वार्ता दण्डनीतिस्तथैव च एवं व्याहृतयश्चासन् प्रणवो ह्यस्य दह्रतः
आन्वीक्षिकी त्रयी वार्ता दण्डनीतिस्तथैव च एवं व्याहृदयश्चासन् प्रणवो ह्यस्य दह्रतः
आन्वीक्षिकी त्रयी वार्ता दण्डनीतिस्तथैव च एवं व्याहृतयश्चासन् प्रणवो ह्यस्य दह्रतः.
Next one, little bit of some words are hard there. Tasyoshnig asi. So the g that is there, you can just break it into ik and the a. That's easy to say it if you break it that way. So tasyoshnig asil lomabhyo, gayatri cha tvacho vibhoho trishtum mamsat snutonushtub. Okay, that's one word together. Snutonushtub. Ib sound and then put a plus. Jagat yasnaf. So it Jagat yasnaf prajapatehe. I'll say that slowly. Tasyoshnik asilomabhyo gayatri chatvacho vibhoho Trishtum mamsat snutonushtub jagat yasnaf prajapatehe.
तस्योष्णिक् आसीलोमभ्यो गायत्री च त्वचो विभोः तिष्ठुं मांसात् स्नुतोऽनुष्टुप् जगत्यस्नः प्रजापतेः
तस्योन्निष्टिक् आसीलोभ्यो गायत्री च त्वचो विभोः त्रष्टुं मांसात् स्नुतोऽनुष्टुप् जगत् यस्नत् प्रजापतेः.
First line, first word, Trimbi.
तस्योष्णिग्
आसीलोमभ्यों.
திருப்பி சொல்லுங்க.
तस्योष्णिक् आसीलोमभ्यों.
तस्योष्णिग् आसीलोमभ्यो.
Yeah. And then the second line, first thing you said something about trishtum on the first word.
Trishtum mamsat. Okay.
Majjayah panktir utpanna, brihati pranato bhavat sparshas tasya bhavaj jivah, swaro deha udahritah. Majjayah panktir utpanna brihati pranato bhavat sparshas tasya bhavaj jivah swaro deha udahritah.
मज्जायाः पङ्क्तिरुत्पन्ना बृहती प्राणतो भवत् स्पर्शस्तस्या भवज्जीवः स्वरो देह उदाहृतः.
मज्जाया पङ्क्तिरुत्पन्ना बृहती प्राणतो भवत् स्पर्शस्तस्या भवज्जीवः स्वरो देह उदाहृतः.
Ushmanam Indriyan Yahuhu. So the ra that is there, that will go away, put a visarga comma, Indriyan Yahuhu. comma. Next word starts with a. Antastha balamatmanah swaras sapta viharena, comma, bhavanti sma prajapatehe. ऊष्माणम् इन्द्रियाण्याहुः अन्तस्था बलमात्मनः स्वरा सप्तविहारेण भवन्ति स्म प्रजापतेः.
ऊष्माणमिन्द्रियाण्याहुः अन्तस्था बलमात्मनः स्वरा सप्तविहारेण भवन्ति स्म प्रजापतेः.
ऊष्माणम् इन्द्रियाण्याहुः अन्तस्था बलमात्मनः स्वरा सप्तविहारेण भवन्ति स्म प्रजापतेः.
शब्द ब्रह्मात्मनस्तस्य व्यक्ता व्यक्तात्मनः व्यक्ता अव्यक्त आत्मनः 3 words there. व्यक्ता व्यक्तात्मनः परः ब्रह्मावभाति विततो, कॉमा, नाना शक्त्युपबृंहितः. शब्द ब्रह्मात्मनस्तस्य व्यक्ता व्यक्तात्मनः परः ब्रह्मावभाति विततो नाना शक्त्युपबृंहितः.
शब्द ब्रह्मात्मनस्तस्य व्यक्ता व्यक्तात्मनः परः ब्रह्मावभाति विततो नानाशक्त्युपबृंहितः.
शब्द ब्रह्मात्मनस्तस्य व्यक्ता व्यक्तात्मनः परः ब्रह्मावभाति विततो नानाशक्त्युपबृंहितः.
Here just one line really praising Brahma, saying that, while we keep talking that, Brahma is getting frustrated, Brahma is doing that, all that, it's saying Brahma is no different than Bhagavan itself. He's just for carrying the duties of Bhagavan. So is of course, I'm not in the level, it's different, but it's really an extension of the same Bhagavan. So he's saying, even though you're talking about things which are unmanifested and things which are manifesting in the various forms, Vyaktam, Avyaktam, since Brahma as a person is still superior to all of it because he's still an extension of the Supreme Lord. So he's still a great personality. That's what he's kind of saying here. Tato param upadaya, comma, sa sargaya manodhade rishinam bhuri viryanam. We're going to break that, put in bhuri viryanam. Api, next word starts with a. Api sargam abhistritam. Tato paramupadhaya sasargaya manodhade rishinam bhuri viryanam api sargam abhistritam.
ततो परामुपादाय ससर्गाय मनोदधे ऋषीणां भूरिवीर्याणाम् अपि सर्गमविस्तृतम्.
ततो परामुपादाय ससर्गाय मनोदधे ऋषीणां भूरिवीर्याणाम् अपि सर्गमविस्तृतम्.
ज्ञात्वा तद्धृतये भूयः. So that ish that is there, that will become a visargan comma, bhuyah. Next word starts with a chinta. Chintayamasa kaurava aho adbhutam etanme, comma, vyapritasyapi nityada. Jnatva tadhritaye bhuyah chintayamasa kaurava aho adbhutam etanme vyapritasyapi nityada.
ज्ञात्वा तत्रथये भूयः चिन्तयामास कौरव अहो अद्भुतमेतन्मे व्यापृतस्यापि नित्यता.
ज्ञात्वा तद्धृतये भूयः चिन्तयामास कौरव अहो अद्भुतमेतन्मे व्यापृतस्यापि नित्यदा.
न ह्येदन्ते प्रजानूनं, दैवमत्र विघातकम् एवं युक्तकृतस्तस्य, दैवं चावेक्षतस्तदा. न ह्येदन्ते प्रजानूनं दैवमत्र विघातकम् एवं युक्तकृतस्तस्य दैवं चावेक्षतस्तदा.
न ह्येधन्ते प्रजानूनं दैवमत्र विघातकम् एवं युक्तकृतस्तस्य दैवं चावेक्षतस्तदा.
न ह्येद्यन्ते प्रजानूनं दैवमत्र विघातकम् एवं युक्तकृतस्तस्य दैवं चावेक्षतस्तदा.
कस्य रूपम् अभूत् द्वेधा, यत् कायम् अभिचक्षते ताभ्यां रूप विभागाभ्यां मिथुनं समपद्यत कस्य रूपमभूद्वेदा यत् कायम् अभिचक्षते ताभ्यां रूप विभागाभ्यां मिथुनं समपद्यत
कस्य रूपमभूद्वेधा यत् कायमभिचक्षते ताभ्यां रूपविभागाभ्यां मिथुनं समपद्यत
कस्य रूपमभूद्वेदा यत् कायमभिचक्षते ताभ्यां रूपविभागाभ्यां मिथुनं समपद्यत
यस्तु तत्र पुमान् सोभून् put a plus there सोभून् मनुस् स्वायम्भुवः स्वराट् स्त्री यासीच् क्षतरूपाख्या महिषस्य महात्मनः. Now is where all these familiar names are going to start coming. Swayambhuva, Manu, Shatarupa, but I'll tell the meaning in the next class. यस्तु तत्र पुमान् सोभून् मनुस्वायम्भुवः स्वराट् स्त्रियासि क्षतरूपाख्या महिषस्य महात्मनः.
यस्तु तत्र पुमान् सोभून् मनुस्वायम्भुवः स्वराट् स्त्रियासीच्छतरूपाख्या महिषस्य महात्मनः.
यस्तु तत्र पुमान् सोभून् मनुस्वायम्भुवः स्वराट् स्त्रियासीच्छतरूपाख्या महिषस्य महात्मनः.
तथा मिथुन धर्मेण प्रजा ह्येदां बभूविरे स चापि शतरूपायां पंचापत्यान्यजीजनत. We cannot break that word. So पंचापत्यान्यजीजनत. तदा मिथुन धर्मेण प्रजा ह्येदां बभूविरे स चापि शतरूपायां पंचापत्यान्यजीजनत.
तदा मिथुनधर्मेण प्रजा ह्येथां बभूविरे स चापि शतरूपायां पञ्चापत्यान्यजीजनत.
तदा मिथुनधर्मेण प्रजा ह्येदां बभूविरे स चापि शतरूपायां पञ्चापत्यान्यजीजनत.
प्रियव्रतोत्तानपादो. प्रियव्रतो उत्थानपादो, but it will become one word. प्रियव्रतोत्तानपादौ तिस्रः कन्याश्च भारत आकूतिर्देवहूतिश्च प्रसूतिरिति सप्तम. प्रियव्रतोत्तानपादौ तिस्रः कन्याश्च भारत आकूतिर्देवहूतिश्च प्रसूतिरिति सप्तम.
प्रियव्रतोत्तानपादौ तिस्रः कन्याश्च भारत आकूतिर्देवहूतिश्च प्रसूतिरिति सप्तम.
प्रियव्रतोत्थानपादौ तिस्रः कन्याश्च भारत आकूतिर्देवहूतिश्च प्रसूतिरिति सप्तम.
आकूतिं रुचये प्रादात् कर्दमायतु मध्यमां दक्षायादात् प्रसूतिं च यत आपूरितं जगत्. आकूतिं रुचये प्रादात् कर्दमायतु मध्यमां दक्षायादात् प्रसूतिं च यत आपूरितं जगत्.
आकूतिं रुचये प्रादात् कर्दमायतु मध्यमां दक्षायादात् प्रसूतिं च यत आपूरितं जगत्.
आकूतिं रुचये प्रादात् कर्दमायतु मध्यमां दक्षायादात् प्रसूतिं च यथ आपूरितं जगत्.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे 12ोऽध्यायः.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे 12ोऽध्यायः.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे 12ोऽध्यायः.
श्रीहरे नमः. श्रीहरे
There's one
नमः.
question.
श्रीहरे नमः. गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्दा गोविन्द. सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि.
Rajesh,
Thank you all for
Rajesh.
patiently
45,
staying
Rajesh.
for our 45 minutes.
Perfect.
Thank you,
I have a
Rajesh.
It's
question.
3:45.
என்னது?
Thank you,
I have a-
Rajesh.
3:45, it's 3:45.
ஆமா எக்ஸாக்ட்டா சொல்லி அடிச்ச மாதிரி முடிக்கிறேன்.
I know.
Perfect.
Rajesha Kukka.
அதான்
Thank you,
teacher.
இல்ல இல்ல இல்ல.
Rajesh, somebody had a question.
Rajesh, I have a question
Mm.
on Slokam 53, the very last part.
Oh, sorry, one second. Yeah.
The last part of that 53, is it Mahishasya or Mahishyasya?
Mahish Yasya.
So Mahishi,
Mahishi Asya. So Mahish
Okay.
Yasya.
okay, thank you.
Mahesh, yes, yeah.
And because it's hard for all of you, because it's like when I'm teaching, I don't feel the what do you call time just goes by fast for me, right? But when you're listening, I know it's very hard, but hopefully you're all getting used to listening for 2 hours, etc., getting ready for more saptahams. You have to be ready for that. So this is like a training for that. You can think of it that way, But anyways, okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Bye.
Thank you.